I look back at some of the things and I realize now that, you know, I had some resistance and pushback. I was either too bullheaded to see it, or I just said, well, you know what, I'm just going to keep moving in this direction. But as I look over my career, there were obvious times that other people were uncomfortable that I was in the room. But I've always looked at it as that's your problem. That is not my problem that you're uncomfortable that I'm in the room, or that the fact that I made it to the room.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. Hello. Welcome to the Black and Blue Podcast, where we celebrate diversity in U.S. law enforcement. My name is Dale. I'm the host. Thank you for joining me. I love and appreciate the support you've shown me and this show. If you want to continue supporting the show, please like and subscribe to the Black and Blue Podcast YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps me tremendously with those infamous algorithms. So make sure you also click and subscribe to that bell icon so you can get notified of any new content that drops. And check out the Black and Blue Podcast social media pages. You can find us everywhere at Black and Blue US. So today's guest is the Chief of Police of the Dallas College Police Department in that great state of Texas. Everyone, please give a warm round of applause to Chief Lauretta Hill. Morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
Excellent. I am excellent. Thank you for coming on to the show. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I mentioned you are the Chief of Police of the Dallas College Police Department. I know you just went through a name change. It was a much longer name.
Yes.
Yes. And that's in Texas. How long have you been the chief over there?
4.5 years, almost 5 years.
All right. And are you originally from the Dallas area?
I am. So raised in this area. So from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, pretty much been in Texas the majority of my life, with the exception of a 2-year stint that I left to go to be deputy chief in Miami Beach Police Department. So. Oh
yes, we got to definitely talk about Miami Beach.
Yep.
I'm sure there's some differences between Texas and Florida that we could talk about. All right.
Yep.
So what was the bulk of your career? Where was
the bulk
that?
of my career, I spent here at Arlington Police Department. So Arlington creates one of the third largest city in the Metroplex next to Dallas and Fort Worth. So I spent just over 20 years with Arlington PD. So that was the majority of my service.
All right. And then you got tapped to go down to Miami Beach and then had some fun in the sun.
I did. It was a great opportunity. And, now that I look back on it, it was some sacrifice to go because I didn't know anybody down there. I knew people, colleagues from, classes and schools that I've attended, but I didn't have any family there. So moving to South Florida, as they call it, South Beach, I was immediately met with open arms from the law enforcement community down there. And, looking back at it, it was some sacrifices I made, but I wouldn't change it because it shaped who I am and who I've become and what I've been able to do since my time in Miami Beach. So, and it's beautiful. I'm so envious. I have pictures, that pop back up, in your Facebook feed and your Twitter feed from 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm sitting on the beach at Christmas time. And so It was a wonderful experience being down there. And, it is so culturally and ethnically diverse place. It's just a wonderful place to learn and grow and understand others.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been to Florida, never down that far though. So that's on the bucket list. That's on the bucket list. I'll be down there. Trust,
You have
trust.
to. Those beaches are beautiful,
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful down there.
yeah. And so you talked about being on the beach at Christmas time. You can't do much of that in Dallas. So right now, you guys had that major cold snap. How did that affect you?
Yeah, that's one of those once in a lifetime events that occurred. And I believe the last time we had that much snow and this kind of cold air was probably 10 or 11 years ago. So, of course, we're not built for it. As you can tell, it was 800, 8 million people without water because the pipes were frozen. And when some of them came back online, they burst. So we had 8 million people across the state without water. We had people for days without power, and the grid system failed us pretty much, and so because we're not built for it, so it was significant. Like in my area at work, we had several buildings that had to go offline because of water damage and when the pipes burst because of the age of the buildings. And so there's a lot of damage and a lot of cleanup that continues because of those that snap of storms. And as I was saying earlier, we went from a -2 temperature on a Wednesday, and by that Sunday, it was 75 degrees. And
Wow.
so, but Texas weather is like that. You stay around long enough, it will change.
It will change on you, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people have generators? Did you have a generator to get you through that, or?
No, we're looking at getting one now.
Yeah,
Probably
you are now, huh?
yeah, we'll probably be price gouging because
Yeah.
everybody will be looking to get one.
Yep.
It's just not something, big, institutions and hospitals and, senior living homes, people that have to have power all the time. They've had generators, but usually personal generators, not that well utilized here, but I
Right.
think they will. So we lost power for not as long as a lot of people. And when our power went off, it only stayed off 30, 45-minute increments, and then it would come back on for 4 to 6 hours. So we were in a rolling blackout where some people were completely blacked out for days. So
Yeah.
we're going to invest because it's probably going to happen again, probably in another 10 years. We'll have a
Right.
significant freeze. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And how did it affect the job at the PD?
Probably similar to a lot of departments, we basically became the first responders to damage, being able to alert our facilities people, hey, we got this damage. Our campuses were closed during that time because of the weather. One thing in Texas, as soon as we get any ice on the road, our people can't drive in that because we're not used to it. We
Yeah.
close everything.
That sounds like
People
us out
from
here
the
in Cali
north-
with rain. You
Yeah. Oh,
get 2
y'all
drops on the road.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. People from the Northeast just laugh at us. I mean, literally, we shut down everything. So there was nothing open. But of course, the cops being on campus were the first to report some of the damage. But we had issues of them, officers trying to get to work. There was a lot of accidents on the roadway. And we have sand trucks for ice, but we don't have snow plows. So when the snow accumulated on the roadways, our facilities, our department, TxDOT, which is the Texas Department of Transportation, we just don't have snow plows. So it was an effort to get snow plows for them to get the major highways plowed because we just don't have them. We have ice, de-icing machines and sand trucks to help with that, but we did not have an answer for the accumulation of snow that was on the roadways. So we had the typical things of officers having a difficult time to get to work, having to hold people over to cover it. but we really turned into first responders to facilities issues. So, but throughout it all, the officers were safe and helped work through the issues at the campuses. And we worked with officers that really couldn't get to work because, highways and things were closed down. So it affected us, but the fact that we were closed down, it helped.
Right. So for people out here that really don't know, what are the kind of the duties of the Dallas, Texas College Police Department?
Yeah, so campus law enforcement, as I've learned about it, because I spent the majority of my career in municipal law enforcement, it's different. You have the same types of calls, you just don't have the frequency. So can you have an assault? Can you have a robbery? Can you have vehicle burglaries, thefts, sexual assaults? You can have all of those. You just don't have them with the frequency that you have in, a larger or mid-sized municipal agency. I actually have 160 something officers, which is larger than most, we're considered a mid-sized police department than a lot of municipal agencies. So the difference is the officers that are there are really focused on true community policing and problem solving. Our mission, the police department's mission at a college and university is different. It's driven by different outcomes and metrics than municipal, such as, student success is the whole mission of colleges and university. We're there to help the students be successful, to achieve their educational goals, to achieve the goals they've set for themselves in life as far as employment and their education. And so that's what we're there for. So our mission is not reducing crime, because crime is not the biggest issue on my campus. It's food insecurity.
Right.
So how do we assist with food insecurity? So we host, when I say we, our campus hosts a lot of food bank drive-throughs. We're COVID testing sites. We're vaccination sites. So our officers really get an opportunity to partner with the community, not only on campus, but off campus. And so in order to be able to do that, you have to have that community-minded skill set that usually are found when you're municipals. They're found in your school resource officers, your crime prevention officers, your community service officers. Well, everybody in the college system has to be that community crime prevention, community person, school resource, because 27% of our population at the college campuses now, at ours specifically, and more community colleges, is high school, early college high school. So 25% of our population are high school students. Starting in the 9th grade. So we have to cater to that, to somebody that's 15 or 16, to the vet that's coming back to get an education that's, 60, 70 years old. And because of that, student success is the most important. Officers really have to be community minded and community oriented. And they have to stay sharp on, laws and policy and procedures, because we don't do it as frequent. You could tend to not be as sharp in certain areas. So we have to always continue to train on that. So what you need to be, the types of call you answer are really, you be solving somebody's problem. Their battery is down in the parking lot. Well, if they don't get that car started, they can't get to work. They can't get to work. They can't feed their kids. So you take the time to solve that problem for you. And you don't have to move on to the next call like municipal. You can truly stay there and help them work through that issue and that problem. So that's what I enjoy about it. I didn't know that before I got into it. But it's a really great group of officers. And the skill set that you need is to be a problem solver, and definitely be community focused.
Yeah. All right. I know you mentioned you have over 100 sworn there. How large is that system? How large is the campus that you need so many officers?
Well, we actually have about 80,000 students throughout.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I apologize for that noise. That's my son in the background.
Hey, son.
Yes, he's in the background. So get them to shut the door again.
Yeah.
So he found Mama in the back room, and now he's like, "Why did she go in the room and shut the door?" So there's
Now we know why. Yeah.
80,000. Yes, there's 80,000 students in the system, and about 7 to 8,000 employees in our system.
Oh, wow.
So we are all over the county. So Dallas County is the largest county. One of the largest counties obviously in the state of Texas, next to Harris County. And so because of that, we own a lot of property in Dallas County. And it's my responsibility to make sure that all of those properties are safe and secure. So we're the second largest property owner in the county,
Wow.
the college system.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why I need so many officers, because we have 7 main campuses, and with all the satellites and the additional places we have like 27 to 28 separate facilities that we have to police and secure.
Crazy. That's crazy. All right. Yeah. They say everything is bigger in Texas. So
well, there you go.
There you go. There you go. And it's a two-year college system, community college system.
It is. We did get awarded this previous legislature session to offer a couple of baccalaureate degrees.
Okay.
I believe the first one is in early childhood education. So it's primarily 2-year college that you transfer into, obviously, your 4 universities. But I believe starting in the fall, we'll be offering our first baccalaureate degree in early childhood education or child development, something in that area.
All right. Congratulations. Moving on up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What sort of education do you have yourself?
Well, I have I got a bachelor's degree from University of Texas at Arlington.
Okay.
And then I have a master's degree from Texas Christian University. So that's where I stopped.
That's where you stopped. Yeah. Not planning on going any further, huh?
No, family life happened,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a little one, I hear. Yeah.
Changed. I got 2. Yes.
You got 2 little ones. Oh, wow. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
12-year-old and an 8-year-old. So.
Okay. Yeah. That wasn't a
Life
12-year-old.
happens.
That we heard the 8-year-old, I'm sure.
You heard the 8-year-old.
Yeah.
And the 8-year-old is he's a ball of fire. I just say.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Well, congratulations on all that, on the family and the schooling as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a lot of great stuff happening in 2020, a lot of unusual bad stuff happened in 2020 as well. Again, one of the things being COVID. How did that affect your campus and your department?
2020, we will remember it forever. I mean, it was life-changing, and 500,000 people, that have died as a result of COVID is just, it's just unthinkable that could happen with modern day medicine and sophistication. But that tells you that there's still a lot to learn about, the diseases and viruses that we just don't know about. We had officers. I have been fortunate not to lose any officers to COVID, but we have had officers that lost family members to COVID. And so it's been a very difficult time for us as an organization to work through how do we continue to support our officers by at the same time maintaining the safety and the security of the campuses, but being compassionate to make sure that we're showing them that we care and that we give them the time that they need in order to take care of themselves, take care of their families and their affairs. We have several officers that have multiple generations that live in their households. Mm-hmm. In Texas, there's a lot of places that a lot of communities that we have multiple generations that live in households. Which made it difficult because the officers had to leave every day and go out into an environment and then come back, sometimes with parents and grandparents there. So it was a real balance. I think we did well to make sure that we balance giving those officers the time that they needed to, putting all the appropriate safety protocols in place. Look, if I caught you without a mask, I didn't play. I mean, I was serious. It was, I was like, if I need to write you up for you to stay safe, then I will.
Then you will.
So I was the mask Nazi, the hand and sanitizers. Like, do you need more? We'll buy you more. So we gave them everything they needed to stay safe. Despite all of that, we still had people that caught COVID, and we just made sure that we took care of them. Our chancellor makes the decisions whether we're open or closed, and we pretty much followed whatever the city of Dallas or the county of Dallas was doing. So there have been long extensions of times that our campuses to students have been closed literally since March of last year. And there are students and faculty that are on campus, but it's those classes that have to meet face to face. Like, you can't do nursing, you can't do respiratory therapy if you're not face to face, but you can do English online. So those classes that could move to online, they have been online since the pandemic started. But we are moving to bring more and more people back to campus. We're supposed to completely open back up, when I say completely, to a full-time faculty and staff to support the students, even though the students are still online. But the majority of our locations will be back open on April 5th. So, so our chancellor has, out of abundance of caution, really been on the forefront of making decisions to protect the health and safety and welfare of, the employees and the students there. But of course, we're the cops. We're there all the time anyway.
Either way.
24/7.
24/7.
So whatever decisions are made, we're still there 24 hours, 7 days a week. So.
Is the rest of the state and the city opening up as far as restaurants and shopping and all that as well?
Yeah, it's been opening up. There's some the governor put some percentages in place. Like, if we get to this percentage and the cases drop below this, or the hospitalizations, then you can open up this. They have those type of things in place, and because of that, some of those rates have dropped. There are several restaurants and things like that. Occupancy can go up a little bit. Yeah. So you're starting to see it open back up a little bit. And people are getting vaccinated. But we had a week in there where things were closed and people were not getting vaccinated, and so we may see some of that surge, or see some upward tick in those numbers now that people are back out and about. So we're seeing it start to open back up, but we're still going to have those safety precautions in place at work for our officers to make sure that they stay healthy, and despite everything looks like it's getting ready to open back up. Yeah.
All right. So one of the good things that happened in 2020 and culminated in the beginning of this year was the election of our president and new vice president, it's Kamala Harris. Yeah. How did that affect you when you saw the nomination and the inauguration there?
I was over the moon. I was a fat cat happy. We got all kind of sayings in Texas. And I can remember the night, the first, when when President Obama was nominated, but then when he won, I can remember watching his inauguration speech, and I cried like a baby because I did not think I would see it in my lifetime, to see a Black man be the president of the United States. And then to come along, then we got Kamala Harris, a Black female, a multi-ethnic female, multiracial female, to be our vice president. And so I was just in awe. And girls everywhere can see that it is possible. Yeah. It is absolutely possible. So I am so excited to see a woman as the number 2 in the country. Yeah. Is history. You're right. We made some history throughout 2020 and 2021 so far. And I'm excited to see what she will do in her position and how that will inspire the next generation of not just politicians, of just women, knowing that we can do it. We can enter those rooms. We can make a difference in that room. We can compete. We can be at the table. We can be a voice at the table, and we can be the head of the table in those business rooms. So it's exciting.
And in police departments. So, you
That's
said,
right.
showing young girls out there that they can do it. You are a role model as well. Let's talk little bit about your career as a female in law enforcement. How did that, in your early days? Well, first, let's talk about, what brought you to the profession in the first place. Was it something you had always wanted to do? How did this come about?
You know what? I did not grow up wanting to be a cop. That's not something that people did where I came from. I'm from, Oak Cliff. People around this area know, what Oak Cliff is. It's one of those where you're branded by it because it's just your neighborhood, as we call it, our hood, and you're proud to be from it and to be a product of it. And so it's just not something that I thought about much going through school. And then when I got to college, I met a few officers. I started attending some job fairs. I majored in criminal justice. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in the criminal justice field, but I knew I wanted to give back in some way and serve. And so after I met, a couple of officers and in my neighborhood and then throughout college, I said, you know what? I don't see very many female cops and I don't see very many Black cops. I said, you know what? Maybe if they saw more people that looked like them, maybe, we could have better relationships in the communities that we had. So, I got in it for a lot of people, service and to serve the community that I was from. So people would have a trust because it was already mistrust of police back in the 90s, when I finished school, even before that. So it's not a new phenomenon that there's this distrust. It's been there since the civil rights movement. It's gotten better, obviously, but there's this trust of law enforcement entity as a whole. So I thought that I could, me, my ambitious, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed self thinking, I can make a difference. I can make a change. I can do all these things by going into this profession. So that's how I started. Just wanted to be part of a community that I thought was underrepresented in the police departments that I saw in my neighborhood. Yeah.
Has that kind of changed over the years? Have you seen more females entering the profession?
I have. And I'm sure there's data somewhere that shows that it has increased. But as it has increased, there are different challenges that you see once you get into the profession that women face that men don't face. And so we as police leaders, we have to address those just like, private sector and people have to address those issues as they come up in policing. The culture of policing has changed, but I think it's been slower to change than some of private sector and corporate America when it comes to employee-friendly policy, when it comes to work-life balance, So we've been slower to change because we say we're so different. And I would argue that, no, we're not. Doctors work 24 hours, 7 days a week. We're not the only profession that tackles that issue of working 24/7. So I think as we continue if we want to continue to see those numbers increase with women in policing, which I think is a good thing for policing, especially now, we're going to have to make sure that we have employment and personnel policies that allow women to stay in the career that they have chosen and not excludes them or makes them choose between their career and their family. And we lose a lot of women because they have to make the choice. But so in order to keep those numbers up and keep building and retention, we're going to have to make sure that we have policies that are reflective of progressive and women in the workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned earlier that there are a number of issues associated with being female in the profession. Did you experience any of those issues? Child care, I'm sure, is one, having to deal with sick children along the way and having to deal with that. Any issues with supervisors along the way with you being a female, anything like that? Off-color comments?
Well, yes. And, at the time, I look back at some of the things and I realize now that, I had some resistance and pushback. I was either too bullheaded to see it, or I just said, well, you know what, I'm just going to keep moving in this direction. But as I look over my career, there were obvious times that other people were uncomfortable that I was in the room. But I've always looked at it as, that's your problem. That is not my problem that you're uncomfortable that I'm in the room, or that the fact that I made it to the room, that there has to be some type of reason why I made it to the room. I'm Black, I'm female. And at that time, not anymore, I was young and, questioning my credentials. And I have to constantly prove that I belong in the room with people that I had greater credentials than they had.
Okay.
But I always felt like I had to prove myself. So, but when I became a mom, one of the first challenges was, I was a breastfeed mom.
Okay.
Well, there was nowhere for me I got my gear bag in one hand and my breast pump and bag in the other hand. And it was like, that's when I realized, I said, there's no place for women to go. Where are they supposed to go? At that time, I had an office because I had promoted already. So I had an office to go to. I said, what about those women that don't have a place to go to? So lactation stations,
right.
Locker rooms that have areas for that. I mean, there were other departments that already had dealt with that, but those were things that I know other women before me probably dealt with, but they never said anything about it. I said, well, I'm going to say something about it. Mm-hmm. I can't get pulled off a call while I'm trying to take care of my motherly duties. I'm going to have to be out of service for a little while. And
right.
then I'm going to have a place to store it until I can get home. So one of the things that I did as a supervisor, if we had women in that situation and they were they were in a district where they lived or an adjacent district, I allowed them to go home to do that. So,
nice.
But you have to just, you can imagine a supervisor saying, oh, that officer can't leave the shift. That's not
right.
fair to other officers. Well, no, what's not fair is the fact that she's trying to do her job and she's trying to make sure that she's taking care of herself. I said, so you shouldn't punish her because she decided that she wanted to become a mom. And some people didn't look at it that way. I said, no, you are isolating and you are treating her differently because of the choice she made that her male counterparts don't have to worry about, because if they have kids, their wife is taking care of them or their wife is at home. Well, these women are at work every day. So those type of things, when I talk about family-friendly policies in departments, realizing if they want the retention of women, they're going to have to look at things like that. So those are some things that I went through. And, one of the biggest things that I would tell, especially young women today, that you just don't have to be part of the in crowd. You don't have to do things just to fit in. If you don't play poker and drink on Friday nights, you don't have to play poker and drink on Friday nights. But if you want to, that's fine. But you don't have to do those things just to try to fit in. Be who you are. Be authentic. Be your authentic self. And if people don't appreciate that, there is somebody in that job or outside of the job, which you should always keep friends outside of the job.
Always.
That's vital to survival, to your emotional survival. That is vital to have people that are not cops around you to keep you balanced. But don't change who you are just to fit into male-dominant culture and lose who you are along the way. And women, we bring a unique role to law enforcement. We shouldn't simulate or morph to something that we're not just to fit in. We need to be our authentic selves when we're there, because we bring something different to the role.
Yeah. a much needed difference to the role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
'Cause,
think so too.
yeah, well, half the population's female, so it only stands to reason that we have half of police departments should be female as well. What about ethnic diversities and sexual orientation diversities within police departments? Specifically, with your department now, are you recruiting, or do you have an actual diverse force underneath you?
It came in campus policing. I have the most diverse workforce I have ever seen in any police department.
All
And
right.
it absolutely comes natural, which was a shock to me. I had so much trouble getting Hispanic males. I talk about that particular race group and ethnic group. And at the police department, my percentages are extremely high. I have like 21% female, 40 something percent Hispanic. And that just doesn't happen. And I think it's what attracts them to the job. Far as, family connection and that community involvement, that ability to work through problems and problem solve and have a different pace, not call to call, but actually able to help people solve problems. I think that attracts a lot of them to our organizations. And, so the diversity that I have in my organization, I wish I could take all the credit for, but I know it has been naturally occurring, but I continue to make sure that I am continuing to open doors for people so that they can come. But I even have, Asian, Middle Eastern. I mean, it's just demographics that everybody struggles with. I have those demographics at the campuses. And Dallas, the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex is very diverse.
Okay.
So, I have a great pool of people to pick from, but I'm glad that they are attracted to campus law enforcement because it helps me with that diversity.
Yeah.
Now, as far as, covering other, even though I got like 20% women, I don't have any other than myself. I have no women past the rank of lieutenant. So that's something that I'm conscious about, that I don't have any women in command staff other than myself represented.
How many other positions are there above lieutenant?
We have the captain's rank, and I have commander's rank. So,
Okay.
So and an assistant chief. So a combination of probably 10 positions above lieutenant that are occupied by all males right now. The captain position and the commander position and the assistant chief position. So I really, I'm aware of that. And I really like to work on getting the women there involved in higher levels of leadership or bringing people in from the outside to campus law enforcement that are interested in command level leadership. So, and being in Miami Beach, I have to throw a shout out to them. That place is so diverse.
Yeah.
I can tell you, and I know I'm on a podcast, and I'll send it to them too. So when I got down there, I would run into people that physically look like me, but I promise you, it was probably I don't know, months before I realized most of the Black people that I ran into, they were either Haitian, they were from the Bahamas, they were from Ghana.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is amazing.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the diversity down there is tremendous in the food, the culture, if you prevail yourself to it. People that live down there, they tell me they hadn't been to the beach. I was like, how don't you go to the beach and you live in Miami Beach, but you have people that don't even go to the beach? And I was like, okay, I'm going.
The same thing out here in LA. Same thing out here in LA. Same thing happens. Yeah.
So we work real hard, and law enforcement has to continue to work real hard to be reflective of the community they serve and of the times. We didn't have, I never had in Arlington PD, we didn't have a transgender policy. But of course, when I got to Miami Beach, they were way more progressive. And we had transgender policy. We had rules to deal with victims or suspects when it came to where do we put them in lockup. So we worked through all of those there, which helped me when I came back to say, okay, these are some things that we need to really think about when we're formulating policies and who those policies address.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you take some of those ideals and some of those things back to Texas with you? And it sounds like you did. Kind of work through those issues. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to not you don't have to start things new and reinvent, find out what's there and what's working. And then you craft your policies and you make decisions based on a variety of sources and what you've learned. So there's no reason to charter, your own territory on certain things when other people are doing it well.
Right. So, another thing that happened in 2020, obviously, was, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, all those incidents that culminated in the protest. How did that affect your community at the college level and you personally?
We always look at how far we have come. And when things like that happen, you see how far we have to go. And that was the George Floyd, Arbery, Breonna Taylor. You can name them over and over again. It seems like it continues to happen. And to us in our community, we know it's happening. I just think the world saw what so many Black people have been saying for years. And it was in their face. It was real. And everybody in the world could see it. And I think at that moment in time of George Floyd and all those protests, diverse protests all over the world, for that moment in time, everybody felt what we feel.
Yeah.
I think. But people's memories are short, Unfortunate, people's memories are short. But I really believe at that moment in time, the majority of people in the world felt what the majority of our community has been saying all along, that there is systematic racism in this country.
Yes.
You may not be the racist, but the systems and the foundation of some of these systems have it built in that has that disparate impact on certain groups like people of color. And I think at that moment, more people felt it. And it absolutely changed. The way I look at things.
I remember when
changed everybody.
I remember when that's definitely what Colin Kaepernick was trying to shine light on way back when he took the knee. He wasn't protesting against the military or the flag or any of that type of stuff. He was trying to shine light on the system, and what happened to him after they got blackballed, got the narrative got taken away from him, and still that ship has sailed now. He's been away so long, but just that whole thing. And I support it. I knew as a Black man what he was about, and I could hear and see and feel my colleagues at work. But my colleagues at work, when I say I support Kaepernick and what he was talking about, you can feel that that side eye, and just what they're talking about. It's different. It's different, and that's all he was trying to shine some light on, and that's what I'm trying to do in this program as well. Shine some light, get some 99.9% of us out here are just trying to do good work, but the systems is in place, and there's mistrust for obvious reasons that have happened over the years in law enforcement in the Black community and other minority communities, and we just can't stick our heads in the sand about it. It's out there. We got to face it and try to do better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's when we had that moment, and I think we're still in that moment. I just think that
we are.
Some people have moved on, but in our life, Dale, we don't get to move on. we're
No.
still black tomorrow morning, right?
Yep.
So,
Stop.
and we're, me, I got two little boys. There's certain things I have to say and teach them about these systems so they can navigate through life and be safe,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it don't change for us the next day. We still have to be, you know, make sure that we're on top of things and that we are shedding light on these things. And I'm past that point in my career. I don't have no filter no more because I say
Yep.
what I feel.
Yeah, been there,
And I
done
learned
that.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I
Right.
earned it, so I don't have that filter no more. So if you don't want an honest, authentic answer, you probably shouldn't ask me the question because I'm going to give you the authentic answer from here in my heart and what I feel and what I've experienced. And, I felt the same thing, when the Black Lives Matter protest started, I was the first one to say, absolutely, Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
Until those Black Lives matter to everybody else, then I don't want to hear about Blue Lives Matter or this
All
life matter,
lives.
that life. I
Yeah.
said, we're shining a light on this because there is a problem. And what do you do when someone gives you a problem? You want to deflect and do
Right.
something else. It's like, no, if you want to have serious conversations, first of all, we need to be past conversations. We need to be action. We need to be doing stuff. And Colin Kaepernick, that was a perfect example. It had nothing to do with patriotism. I am not
Nothing.
less patriotic because I believe in the movement of, at the time of civil rights, the movement of women's rights, the movement of Black Lives Matter. I'm not less patriotic than you. I'm
That
not
part.
less of a cop than you because I believe in this, because I live it every
You
day.
live it
My
every
community
day.
lives it. I don't get to take it off. I can take that blue uniform off.
Yep.
Guess what I can't take off? I can't take
Yeah.
my blackness off. And I wouldn't want to.
Yeah. No,
don't want
none
to.
of us want to.
Right?
I don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I'm identified by those characteristics that God gave me and made me just as equal as everybody else. And so God made me this way. The system has made me unequal, but I know in the eyes of God that I am equal. And we're not going to stop fighting until we are seen in the same equal lights that God created us to be. Not less
Amen.
than. We are created by our Creator the exact same. It is man and these systems that have made this inequality. And we are not going to stop fighting until we achieve that level of equality. And we don't want no handouts.
Nope.
I don't want your sympathy. I want your empathy.
Uh-huh.
I want you to
Yeah.
understand empathy. I don't want your handouts. I want a level playing field when me, my people in my community, communities of color, women, those demographics that are disparately impacted by systems that are in place. We just want to be on the field and a fair chance to be able to live our life to the fullest and provide for our family to the fullest, get health care to the fullest, just like any other person on this earth and on this planet, in this country, in this state, in this city.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. So in terms in regards of law enforcement, what challenges do you see that we face moving forward with all these issues? Recruitment's a big one. We can't recruit African Americans into the profession because of what's going on. I say we need to recruit more because of what's going on. What sort of challenges do you see moving forward for law enforcement?
Dale, we're at a pivotal time in policing. So we are going to put up or shut up. I mean,
Right.
we really have to change how we look at service. And we've talked about, community policing, problem-oriented policing, problem-solving policing. We have to rebuild legitimacy in our communities, and it didn't get torn down overnight. So it will take years to rebuild. And we're going to have to open the door to another whole group of officers, generation, the millennials and the Generation Zs that are going to transform because they see the world differently than we do. And they're going to be the next generation of leaders. As we move into our careers, we're at a pivotal point. We have to recruit guardians. We do not need to recruit warriors. And guardians will give us the credibility, gain us the credibility back in our communities. It will give us that legitimacy back in our communities. We can teach somebody to tactically be proficient and ready to address any situation that comes. What you can't teach somebody is honesty. You can't teach somebody empathy. You can't teach somebody character. So if they have a character flaw, you can't teach them not to have that character flaw. There's some professions you cannot go in if you don't have those characteristics. So we need to recruit and be mindful of guardians. And because that's what we do the majority of our time. We are not out there being warriors 98% of the time. 95% of the time, we are doing guardian type functions. So that's who we need to recruit. That's what our recruiting needs to have. People need to look at their recruiting questions. They need to look at their mission statements. And I'll tell you, I go through agencies' videos, recruitment videos, and I can tell you which departments have not passed that threshold of guardians versus warriors. If I see a video and all I see is SWAT people, I was in SWAT. I was a negotiator. I ran our SWAT team.
All right.
So, I done jumped out of helicopters in SWAT school. Repelled.
Nice. Yeah.
Yes.
But
that was when I was young and crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're not so young, but you're still crazy.
I'm a different kind of crazy.
Different kind of crazy.
Jump out of stuff that's perfectly. If it's perfectly good, why would you jump out of it?
Yeah, no doubt.
But when you see those type of things and you believe, guess what you're attracting? If your recruiting videos are SWAT, K9 biting people, the special enforcement team out serving warrants, and all of those things breaking in doors.
Yeah.
That's who you're recruiting.
Yeah.
Who do you want to recruit? So if your videos and your agency does not reflect all these things you're saying about legitimacy and building public trust, but when they look at your website or they see your recruiting videos or they interact with your officers and it's the opposite, we need to change. It's not the community. We have to change. We have to reinvent ourselves, reimagine ourselves.
Reimagine.
And the first thing I believe is we need more guardians in this profession than we need warriors. We can teach you tactically what you need to do, but we need you to be a guardian first with character, with integrity, and be honest. If I have those three things, Dale, I can teach you everything else. I can teach you how to shoot. I can teach you how to enter. I can teach you how to take a report. I cannot teach those other three basic skills. You have to have them coming in.
That part. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's real talk.
That is 100. All right, Chief. I really appreciate this talk that we had, this discussion we had. This is good stuff. I didn't know you had been a part of SWAT and jumped out of helicopters and all of that sort of stuff. That's good to know. Yeah. So I appreciate you. But before I let you go, I know I told you before that I got a game that I like to play with my guest here. So let me get this set up for you. My game here is called...
Last night I saw a superhero, he was black. He said, this is for the street, Black Lightning's back.
This is called my Black Lightning Round. Black Lightning Round. I'm just going to quick fire some questions at you, and you hopefully quick fire some answers back at me. Some of your SWAT training from back in the day.
Okay.
Think quickly on your feet. All right. So here's your first one. So you obviously spent some time down in Miami. What do you miss most about that town?
The beaches.
The beaches.
And the food.
And the food. Yeah, you did mention that. You did mention that. All right. But you got barbecue in Texas, so.
Well, yeah, I do. The best.
Yeah. Is everyone in Dallas a Cowboys fan?
If they're not, they should leave. We are America's team. So
No. Okay. All right. Next question. What's the most prominent role model you've had in your personal and professional life?
My mom.
Your mom. All right. How so? How so?
She is my foundation. My mom and dad are my foundation. They are who I am and who I've become. And because I had such a solid foundation, I owe it all to them. I owe everything that I've done to a solid foundation.
Excellent. Excellent. So how long has it been since you made a traffic stop?
Oh, you see, you're wrong. Probably 7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years. Okay.
On my own. Now, I've been a passenger of a traffic stop like 2 or 3 years ago when I was assistant officer. But me stopping the car myself, it's probably been 7, 8 years. But me as a passenger, about 3 years ago.
About 3, okay. How long has it been since you last arrested somebody?
Whoa, oh my gosh. It's probably been over 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Admin doesn't usually do much of that anymore. So.
Yeah, not that often.
No, not that often.
Want to go out, back out, make an arrest.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on to the next one, how important do you feel that is to get out with the troops and interact and see what they're doing on a, at least on a monthly basis?
Oh, I think it's very important. I know it's hard depending on the size of your organization, but I think it's really important. And even if you don't, like some of these COVID times, I've been doing video calls with them and video conferencing with them as much as I can. And then I'll make it a point at least once a quarter to go out. That's when I did my last traffic stop. I go out and ride with an officer for a shift at each one of my campuses, which is 7 of them. So it just takes me a little while to get around. But I think it's very important for them to see us. Because you got to feel connected with your troops. Yeah.
I know my department's even smaller than yours as far as sworn personnel. So what we used to do, they're not doing this so much anymore. Maybe we'll bring that back up. But when our association had a meeting once a month, admin would actually fill in for us. So they'd go hit the streets. It was only for an hour that we had our association meeting. But they would go out and answer calls, even, for audibles, and, some would even make T-stops, and, so, every now and something to keep in mind there for you. Yeah, to keep up on those skills. What's a better movie? Hidden Figures or The Help?
Oh, Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures, yep. That's about, you see that NASA just renamed one of their headquarters after one of them,
Yes.
So that's awesome.
That movie is phenomenal.
Yeah. What assignment in your career that you didn't get to do that you wish you had?
A CID detective.
CID is what?
I never got a chance.
What is that?
Criminal Investigation Division. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I never got a chance to be a detective.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just kind of moved across over that, huh?
Yeah. So I missed my opportunity. I got to supervise detective units, but I never got a chance to be one myself.
Yeah. So you didn't do like whenever you watch Law and Order or some of those cop shows, when the detectives are out and then they brief the lieutenant, and then she says, like on Law and Order, you guys go do that. I'll write the warrant. It's like, what lieutenant gonna be writing the warrant? Ain't no lieutenant writing the warrant. No.
I'd rather go out than be the one to write the warrant.
Well, even still, you don't even know the PC. How you gonna write the warrant anyway?
Absolutely.
Neither here nor there.
Yeah. TV cop shows versus real cops.
Yeah, exactly. Mary J. Blige or Janet Jackson?
Oh, Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Okay, all right. I love me some Janet though.
I love me some Janet, but Janet ain't got enough. She ain't got enough hood in her for me. Mary J. got it.
Mary J. got it. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I see me a little bit more in her than Janet.
Yeah. So you spent time down in Miami, and now you're back in Texas. Which would you rather be in, a hurricane or a tornado?
A hurricane, because you know it's coming.
Because you know it's coming.
You can prepare for it.
Yeah.
Tornadoes, there is no preparation other than a siren, and it can hit here, it can miss you, it can hit you. They just pop up. But a hurricane, usually you got days and weeks to prepare for it.
Right. All right. And last question here. If you could snap your fingers and one thing would change about law enforcement or improve about law enforcement, what would it be? You were queen for a day.
What would I change? I would change the culture,
Okay.
because culture
How's that?
takes years.
Yes.
I would have guardians. I would have guardians at the top of the organization. I would have my tactical people where the tactical people needed to be, the technical people needed to be. But I would change the culture to a shift to guardians versus warriors.
Yes. All right, that part. All right, Chief. I appreciate you playing along with that. That was good stuff. More good insight about you. Thank you once again. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, you be safe out there in Texas at the Dallas College Police Department, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side real soon. You guys got vaccinated out there? How's the vaccine made its way out to you?
It's made it a lot of I have been. So it was offered to our first responders in the first round. So quite a few have them. So I have been vaccinated. I'm still, very safe and following the guidelines because there's a lot of people around me that have not been. So So they're going well, and hopefully, we'll have some sense of normalcy, this summer.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, because there's million and one things that I want to get back to: movies, concerts, all that sort of stuff. So
vacations,
especially vacations. I'm out here with Disneyland, and can't even go back to Disneyland.
Ready to get back. We go to Disney. We were going to Disney like every year.
Which one, World or Land?
Yes.
Disney World.
Disney. We went Disneyland. We went to Disney World when I was in Florida a lot, but we've been to Disneyland and Legoland up there probably 3 to 4 times in the last 3 years.
Wow. All right.
So we will be back there as soon as
California. Welcome.
Yes.
Come on back. All right.
I will.
All right, Chief.
Yep, when I get up there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. You take care. Wash your hands, mask up, and be safe. All right.
All right. Well, I just want to say, hey, this is Chief Lauretta Hill from Dallas College Police Department, and I'm hanging with my man Dale from Black and Blue podcast.
All right. All right. Thanks, Chief.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Black and Blue Podcast. I want to thank Dallas College Police Chief Lauretta Hill for coming on to the show and schooling all of us on the outstanding work of your department. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as well. If you did, crush that like button on YouTube or rate it 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform. I'll be back right here in a couple of weeks with another enlightening interview with another inspiring guest. But till then, y'all already know. Stay black and blue. I'll holler at you. Peace.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.